Hey everybody, welcome to another Con Support video. This one's on comparing and ordering absolute values. So I think once you get the hang of this, it'll be pretty simple. Let me just enlarge as much as possible for you guys. So remember, absolute value is the distance from zero. So how far is the inside amount from zero, basically. So when you're looking at this one, it says fill in the blank. The absolute value of 8 is 8. The absolute value of negative 3 is 3. How far is negative 3 from 0? 3 units from 3. Remember, distance is always positive. So you're really comparing 8 to 3, which is greater, 8. So you want the open side towards the 8. That's the greater than side. So you read this as 8 is greater than negative 3, or absolute value of 8 is greater than absolute value of negative 3. This one is the absolute value of negative 3.8 compared to 3.8. Well, the absolute value of negative 3.8 is 3.8, so these are equal. Remember, absolute value is always positive, distance from 0. All right, so 1/2 compared to the absolute value of negative 2. 1/2 compared to, what is the absolute value of negative 2? 2. So you're really comparing 1/2 to 2. Which is greater? Well, 2 is greater, right? So it's going to be open towards the 2. So you want to have the open side towards the 2. So there you go. And you read this as 1/2 is less than the absolute value of negative 2. This one, order the following values from least to greatest. Well, any negative value is going to be smaller than absolute value because absolute values are always positive. So here you've got a negative value. That's just negative. Negative 6.5, fine, it's negative. Then you've got 0, which is obviously going to be less than any absolute value that's inside other than absolute value of 0 because any absolute value is going to be positive. So really you're just comparing these two. And which one has a greater absolute value, 9 or negative 1? Well, 9 is further from 0. So that's going to be the greater absolute value. So this is like negative 6.5, 0, 1, and 9. Because remember, absolute value is always positive. Okay, which is going to be greater? Absolute value of 4 compared to the absolute value of negative 2. Well, distance is always positive, so this is really 4 versus 2, which is greater, 4, so open towards the 4. Which is going to be greater? Absolute value of negative 9.9 or absolute value of 1.4. Well, which one of those is further from 0? Obviously, absolute value of negative 9.9 is going to be further from 0 because its distance from 0 is 9.9, whereas the 1.4 is only 1.4 from 0. So when we compare absolute values, you're comparing the positives of these basically, right? Because distance is always positive. Which one's greater, 9.9 or 1.4? Obviously, 9.9 wins, so open towards the 9.9. And the last one here, 1/4 versus the absolute value of negative 1/4. Well, absolute value, it just means distance from 0. How far is negative 1/4 from 0? It's 1/4 away from 0. So that means that this is really 1/4 compared to 1/4, which means they are the same. And that's how you do it. Pretty easy, right?